Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Why Did Ask For. Doing
Hello.
away with numbers.
It's 28.
Because fuck it, if you've been following along, you know where we're at. So as always, I'm your host, Dan. Well, not as always, I guess. I've been absent a little bit. But with me is Pat.
Hello, everyone.
And the ever lovable Tip.
Oh wow, that's very nice for you to say.
He
Well-
is lovable, isn't he?
He is.
Thank you guys. You guys are lovable too.
Not so much.
Hey, so what's going on with Tim Hortons?
I don't know what's going on with it.
Well, they're keeping our fearless leader from us. So
Oh,
That's true.
Yeah.
do I need to contact the Burger King?
You might have to, yeah. It might be a good idea.
If you
Save
look
me.
now, he might be lurking out in your bushes.
Oh god, that thing is so creepy.
Yep.
Mhm.
I don't know why they ever thought that was a good idea for a mascot.
I wouldn't be able to tell you.
I mean, okay, it's a good idea for the mascot because they are Burger King, so a king, fine. But like, did they have to have like a creepy ass plastic face for a mask?
Absolutely, they did.
Like that's the part that's worrisome. Like that head should be at the drive-through speaker or something, but definitely not.
If that were the case, if that head was at Burger King every time I went to the drive-through, I wouldn't go.
I wonder if that was their way of kind of like playing at McDonald's. It's like they got their creepy clown, so we got our creepy king.
Oh, they both kind of look like child molesters to me. So
No, I don't think that's the direction we want to take it in.
I'm just saying.
Oh god.
But I mean, think about it. He's a. I mean, there is some accuracy to that. I mean, he is a kids meal king, and there's a clown who McDonald's is very well known for kids. I don't know. Tip has a good point.
True.
I think is funny is Pat is dancing around Ronald McDonald's name, but we're throwing the Burger King under the bus. It doesn't even matter.
Tip,
You
please.
get, something to tell us about your stock options, Pat?
Well, I mean, it's just Ronald McDonald. He has a lot more power to destroy you in one fell swoop. So I'm picking my battles, Dan. I think that's.
I mean, he does have houses all over the place.
And speaking of stock options for McDonald's, so an actual relevant story here. My mom worked for McDonald's when I was young. She was finishing up school and worked for McDonald's, and they gave her employee stock options.
Right.
So she just held on to them because she's like, well, what am I going to do with stock? And she's going to school, didn't really know what to do with it, and just kept re-upping it or whatever it is that you do to tell them, hey, yeah, I still own this.
Uh-huh.
I'm not a big stocks person. Turns out there have been so many splits of the stock that her 500 shares of McDonald's stock are now 25,000 shares.
Whoa.
Wow.
I think that's right. It's 25,000 or 2,500. It's a lot of shares.
Damn.
And she's just sitting on them. She's like, well, I don't know what'll happen, but, it could go up again. And I was like, yeah.
That's more shares.
Sell.
Yes. That's more shares than Kanye West sharing a picture of him opening Pirate Bay.
Hey.
Dun, dun, dun.
Look at Pat trying to be relevant.
Go
Yeah,
on.
we tried it last week. It really didn't help.
Please.
I don't think it works well for us. I think we leave that to recess.
Yeah. I mean, we started with talking about relevance, and it turned into how Taylor Swift looks like a sex doll.
True.
And,
yeah.
I'm not sure if that's really nice.
No,
But
I don't know either. Okay, now I want to address something because I just remembered it from last week.
Okay.
So I was listening, and you guys were you were mentioning Kesha.
Mhm.
Yes.
I don't remember. Did you flesh out the whole story?
No, I don't know the whole story.
Okay, so from what I understand, apparently she was abused by her producer or someone at her record label,
Oh, no.
be it sexually or mentally or both. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's what the lawsuit was about. She was trying to get out of her contract, her recording contract, because I guess she still owes them, I don't know, 2 or 3 records or something like that.
Yeah.
So she was suing to try and get out of that contract.
Oh.
And the judge was just like, nope. So she has to continue to work with the people that are abusing her.
So
Whoa.
which
the
is
judge
why it's
should,
Yeah, which is why it's like a big thing, and this like you see all these like hashtag free Kesha and shit like that. That's why.
Oh, see,
Yeah,
I just saw the Taylor Swift gives Kesha
gives
250
Kesha money.
grand. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I thought, man, that girl looks fake. Like not. Well, we went through that. We're
yeah,
not fake, but like just almost too perfect.
yeah. Oh, and on the fake person. So the girl that's gone had surgery to look like Barbie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw that a couple years ago on Facebook.
Oh,
That's nuts.
yeah.
I
I
think
thought you were about
she's
to tell us she was.
what?
Your
No,
neighbor's.
no, no, no. I don't know anything about that. I saw it a few years ago. So when you
Yeah.
guys talked about it last week, I was like, oh shit, I remember. I know exactly what they're talking about. And yeah, I don't know what her problem is. She's from, I think Iceland
I
or Russia or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something I don't know. I was like, man, that lady's fucked in the head if you ask me.
She's Rusky.
Ruski, yes.
Yes. I think it's again, with these sensationalist ideas of what a person's supposed to be or look like,
Yeah,
and then they just really try their best to match that standard.
yeah.
and it's kind of sad.
It is bad. I guess it all comes down to self-confidence though, right? Like obviously that girl didn't like the way she looked and she felt like she needed to look like Barbie or has some weird fascination with Barbie, but I mean that's all too common with anybody, and it sort of scares me as a father of a girl.
Mm-hmm.
Cuz like I don't want her to grow up thinking she has to look a certain way.
But doesn't that go back to the parents in a way? It's kind of like you would be able to say, hey, look, this is not something you should be trying to strive to. This isn't real. This is a weird,
Yeah.
kind of standard. And then so you have a person who thinks, oh, no, I have to look like Barbie. Otherwise, I'm not attractive. That's just like they don't have any guidance in their life. They don't have any parenting telling them, hey, this is not something you should be trying to strive for. Be independent, be yourself, be different.
I mean, you're not wrong, but at the same time it's like no matter how open you try and be as a parent, like sometimes your kids just don't want to talk to you about shit. Like I know my dad was always like, hey, whatever you want, come to me, talk to me about anything. And then when it came to like relationships and stuff, I'd always go to my mom. Until like one night, I don't know, my girlfriend broke up with me, and I don't know, there was like an empty box in my room and I kicked it, and I lived in the basement, and I just stood up and hauled off and kicked it. And I guess it made a loud enough noise that my dad came down. And he's like, hey, what's going on? And I was just like, I don't want to talk about it. No. And he's like, come on, tell me about it. What's going on? So finally I told him, and that was like the first like real conversation I had with my dad. And I think I was 17 at the time.
Oh.
But like, I never felt like I could go to my dad with that stuff, even though he was like, come to me. I'm always here. Let's talk about shit. So I don't know. I think as open as you try and be as a parent, I think there's just some stuff your kids won't talk to you about. And if you're not, I guess it comes down to paying attention. Because if you're not paying close enough attention to notice that your kids are, I don't know, not as upbeat as they used to be or whatever it is, then I guess it's your fault. But even then, sometimes they can hide it well,
I guess that's true. But I mean, if someone's ready to change their physical appearance outside of being, 20 and moving out and they're no longer actively within your vicinity, when they say, hey, I'm going to go get plastic surgery to look like a plastic doll, that's, I think, a huge red flag that I need to talk to this.
Well,
Yeah.
not only parents at that point. I mean, if you're of that age and you're going to do that drastic of a change, and you're going to be going to these surgeries and everything, you got friends, you got other family members. Like a lot of people should have seen something wasn't right.
Yeah, I guess.
And I think like at that point, there comes you have to admit that, hey, Pat, for instance, something's up with Pat. He wants to look like Caitlyn Jenner and all in.
Hey, we're just talking about judgment here. What's going on here?
Don't. Pat doesn't want everybody to know that he tries on his wife's clothing. Be quiet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Tip, what do you got a problem with this, man?
No, I'm just saying, like, as a friend, I would notice if Pat was like having this obsession with it.
Well, the thing is,
that's fair enough. But at the same time, I guess with you and Pat, it's different because you guys are like close friends. But let's say, like, with me, for example, like I don't have any close friends really anymore.
Dan, please.
Like, I mean, I don't know how to explain that. It sounds worse than what it is. It's like my best friend from high school and stuff. Like, I don't really talk to him anymore because he's a minor, so he's never in the same spot twice. And we try and keep in touch, but whatever, we
I'm a
don't.
minor.
But like, I have friends, just not anybody that's really, really close like that. So
Yeah.
when do they feel like they can step in and say something? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. And that could be the same with this girl too, right? Like, maybe she doesn't have any close friends, and the people that do surround her are just like, I don't think I should tell her what to do or what she can and can't do,
Yeah, that's a very interesting topic you bring up there, because there is a lot of people out there that will see the people around them starting to self-destruct, and they just kind of stand by. They don't do anything.
Yeah, and that's where I'm getting at, is you don't have to tell someone what to do. Because, I mean, in my case, especially growing up, if someone told me what to do, like, oh, you can't do that. Oh, you should do this. I would do the exact opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So a lot of it was like my parents tricked me into doing my homework or something. And I'm not the smartest man in the world.
That tricky homework.
I'm not a smart man.
But like, my parents would say stuff like,
Janae.
I'm not gonna live that one down.
Go on.
My parents would be like, hey, don't work on that project right now. We got to go do this. And it'd be something like really that would sound like a whole lot more fun than working on a school project.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'd be like, oh, no, I'm almost done. And I'd get really into it, and I'd work on the project or whatever I was doing. And my parents had no intention of taking me wherever they said they were going to take me. They just wanted me to,
They played you like a fiddle, boy.
Yeah, my parents know me better than anybody.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I also think that, because I had discussed this theory, I think with Tip one time, and I know I discussed it with my wife, that some people, when they grow up, because, you come from an old school sort of thing, when you're punished as a child, that you get spanked or whatever, you grow up, and if no one ever really explains to you the consequences of bad actions, you tend to think that when bad things happen to you in life, that it's a punishment.
Yeah,
rather than bad consequences for doing stupid things.
Yeah.
Right.
So unless you have someone clearly or you're able to understand it, you can grow up thinking that, oh, well, if I don't get my way and bad things happen, that's just the universe punishing me, as opposed to, no, you just made a stupid, dumb decision, and there's negative consequences to making stupid, dumb decisions.
Yeah.
There is?
Yeah. Well, see, there you go. Dan, I need to take Dan aside and... But I think, and that's where a lot of this whole modern age victim mentality comes from. Yeah.
I think a lot of this modern age victim mentality comes from participation trophies. Never being allowed to.
Yeah, that's true.
There we go.
There are no winners and losers. Everybody gets an award for participation.
I know what failure is because I have failed. And in some cases, my dad watched me do it.
Do you think a cloud would get an award for precipitation?
God damn it, Pat. No.
Hey, I just had to...
One more outburst like that and you're fired.
I just have to make sure, please. Dan, I'll be your close friend, please.
Oh, okay.
But no, back to the thing on Friends and...
Great show.
It was. But, but just the whole, not being, I guess, not being close friends, you still realize when something's wrong with somebody.
Yeah, but again, I'm saying, I don't know, you guys is a bad example for me. But okay, I just started a new job, so I'm starting to get to know some people.
Yeah.
Right? And it's only been 3 weeks, but let's say, 3 months down the road, I'd say I know these people fairly well because I see them 5-6 times a week. And I'm starting to notice things are changing for them. Do I feel close enough to say something? I don't think so.
Well, I mean,
right? It's the same
yeah,
thing. Let's say you run into an old friend that hasn't seen you for a couple of years or something like that, and you say something and it just completely catches them off guard, and they go and they're like, "Oh, are you okay?" And is that different than just meeting these guys? And
I would think it is because Like if it was one of my childhood friends or somebody that I grew up with and went to school with, then that's
Yeah.
completely different because I come from a small town where I literally like we had what 7 or 8 of us in the group that were all like really close friends. If any one of them came up and said something to me like, "Hey, you know, are you all right? You seem whatever," then yeah, that's different because they know me inside and out, even though we haven't seen each other in oh god, 12, 13 years, something like that at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, that's different than, you know, somebody that I've been working with for the last 6 weeks that doesn't really know me and I could just be having a shitty week,
Yeah.
you know?
And you know, it could also be part of, I guess, industry or whatever job you have. I mean, when I
Yeah, that's
worked
true.
when I worked in restaurants, I mean, I worked with people and I saw them every day for, I don't know, I guess it was like 3 years or something like that, and I couldn't tell you the first thing about those guys, even though I saw them every day. I mean, it was just the pace was different. You don't have that opportunity to really get to know people.
Yeah, I
Whereas,
mean, that's understandable.
you know, when I worked at the job before this one,
Mm-hmm.
I and not only made a really close friend, but we ended up being roommates and like just we were each other's best friends because we were 24 hours a day trying to wrangle this massive problem that was our workplace.
Right, yeah, but again, that's like you said, it's different industry, right?
Yeah, different industry.
When you're in generally when you're in food service, it's like it's go 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 go. You don't have time to stand around and chat.
yeah,
And unless you really make an effort to hang out with these people outside of work, you're probably not going to get to know them any better than their name and how good they are at their job.
yeah, and I'm not the type of person that's going to make that effort to hang out with people.
Me neither.
I don't care about
Me
people.
neither.
They just create problems.
I hate
Yep.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, here's the thing though, is that even if you don't really know a person, if you see a person is like genuinely struggling or they're kind of, you can tell they're just down in general, and yeah, you may not know them as well, but I mean there's that natural inclination to go up to them and be like, hey, is everything okay? And
Well, that depends. Are you from Texas or from the rest of the world?
okay, well, I mean, we're talking about Texas, Canada, so I'm pretty sure it's the same kind of concept here. Where it's
Well-
like, yeah, are you feeling okay? Or is everything all right, eh? And then you just kind of work it through. You know what I mean? Howdy, how you doing? But I mean, I guess I can see where it's like, it's also an issue where if you don't want to impose onto someone's life because maybe they just need to be alone, maybe they need time to themselves and you don't want to be that guy, whatever. But I think you can kind of tell when a person's having issues and they need just a kind word.
Yeah, there's like, I mean, there's a small percentage of people that will react to that as well.
Yeah.
And you hear stories about it all the time. Like, you know, I was having a shitty day and, you know, the person that served me my coffee in the morning asked how I was doing and it just made my day for whatever reason. Now, I know that's a small case. Like you just woke up on the wrong side of the bed or whatever. But sometimes in rare cases, yeah, somebody just saying, hey, is everything all right? And making yourself available to somebody is enough for that person. But for somebody that's, you know, going to have plastic surgery to the extent that this girl did, you know, looping back around to the beginning of this conversation, I don't think, you know, hey, is everything all right? I don't think that's going to, coming from a stranger, I don't think that would change anything.
I don't think so either. And you know why I don't ask people if everything's all right?
What is that?
Because you don't care.
Well, aside from that, I'm scared to death that they're just going to unload on me all these problems I don't care about. Like, so I don't even
Yeah,
give
fair
the,
enough.
I don't even give the common courtesy of a hello. It's just kind of like straightforward. Got to get where I'm going. Because if someone makes contact with me, it's kind of like, ugh.
Fair enough. I mean, for me personally, it depends on the situation. Like if I'm in a hurry to go somewhere, I'm going to avoid people like the plague. But if I'm just out and about and I see someone like looking like shit, I'll offer myself to them because I enjoy that. Like I like talking to people about their problems. I was just too lazy to go to school to be like a psychiatrist or something, but I could probably be really good at it because that's what I did in high school.
Yeah.
People would come to me when they had problems because I like listening and trying to offer suggestions.
See, and I've gotten to the point in my life where I don't.
I admire your honesty, buddy.
To each their own.
Yes.
Yeah, like I genuinely I don't care.
Yeah, and it's totally fine too. I mean, that's you do
And-
you, you know.
To be honest with you, a lot of people who have problems accepting that, I think that's actually a good thing, because there are people who maybe might try to fix a problem and they don't feel like they're qualified to, but they will be out of the necessity to be a good person, and they'll end up giving somebody bad advice. So in a lot of ways, that's probably more beneficial than
Well,
giving someone false advice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not only that, it's something I've had to learn very early on.
Mhm.
I'm
Right.
not even gonna say early on, like high school. When Pat and I were in high school, a guy tragically died,
Mhm.
Okay.
and it really shook up the whole school. And
Okay.
for a time, I felt like I was the only one that was like, "Yeah, he died." I feel bad for the guy that accidentally killed him, but I wasn't friends with him.
Right.
Mhm.
I barely knew him. I'm not shook up at all. I'm not upset. And like I felt worse that people were looking at me because I wasn't upset than I would have
Yeah.
had I just like been upset.
But I mean, I don't understand that sort of thing either. Like, having everybody upset because somebody died. It's like, did you know them personally?
Yeah.
No. Then why would like if I didn't know somebody personally and they died, I'm not gonna cry about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not gonna happen. Like, there was a dude that he was having a rough week. He was really depressed, drank way too much, and then decided to stand in front of the train.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. And that was it. That was the end of him. Like, I remember walking to school and like there's only one set of traffic lights in my hometown that we had to cross to get to the school. And I remember getting like where you could barely see the lights like that distance away. And like there was police tape across the road. I mean, and like we weren't allowed to go to school because at that time in the day they were still finding body parts and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
And so it was a rough situation, and it turned out to be somebody that I knew, kind of like I knew their name, was aware of them, I guess you could say.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like everybody in town was like so upset, crying and stuff. I'm like, I knew who he was, but I mean, I'm not gonna cry about it.
Yeah. I mean,
I think it's terrible that he stepped in front of a train and there was pieces all over the place, but you know, I wasn't close to him. I'm not gonna cry about it.
Hmm.
It's not a big deal.
No, and I get that, because I mean, and this is probably a really bad example, but like with Monty Young passing, with Rooster Teeth and all that, and Tip may not understand the situation as much because he's probably like, "Who's Monty Young?"
Right.
But
I'm sitting here thinking, what's Rooster Teeth?
Get
and
out.
there was, yes, if you don't know who they are, it's in no, but I get where people were upset, because it wasn't so much the fact that they knew him, but they could probably see a really good person in him, and they could see a lot of dreams and aspirations this guy had, and it was tragically something that he couldn't control, the way he passed away.
Yeah,
And when someone does something like the one that Tip was referencing to, he was, and if I'm assuming it's the same person, Tip, he jumped in front of a car because he jumped on the hood of a car because he was also drunk, and basically he got ran over.
I'm
But-
Okay.
not sure if he was drunk or not. I think they were the non-drinking crowd.
But yeah, it's I don't know. It's kind of harder to feel sorry for someone who may have been going through some stuff. Like the way you describe this person, it sounds like they were going through some stuff.
Yeah, it
So
seemed like it.
that's what happened. The friend that we had, or not the friend, but the one that we knew, this guy was just screwing around with his friends, being an idiot, and got himself killed. So
Yeah.
it's harder to feel sorry for him. Someone like Monty, who loved what he was doing, loved life, and was just so full of energy, that's hard. That's really hard, because
Well,
like,
especially because he was taken out by an allergic reaction.
exactly.
Yeah,
Like that's the worst
severe-
part, right?
At the hospital.
Yeah, it was something that they gave him.
Man.
I think,
That-
if I'm
yeah,
not
that-
mistaken, I could be wrong. Don't quote me. on that.
I'm reading it right now. It is.
I was pretty sure. It was like, it might have even been something they weren't aware he was allergic to. and gave him. I don't know.
It
Anyway,
doesn't say that. It just says that he was hospitalized after a severe allergic reaction during a medical procedure.
Yeah, well,
that's what it was. Yeah, during a medical procedure. But anyway,
did you ever read? And I don't want to get too much into it because I don't want to be insensitive to it, but just objectively, and maybe a good warning to people because I too have really bad allergies. But did you ever read Sheena Ohm's blog regarding what had happened, more or less?
I did not.
What had happened from her blog, and I wish I had it in front of me so I could paraphrase it, or so I could be more accurate. There was a cat that they had adopted that had met them one day. It came to their house. It was in the rain, and Monty and Sheena felt really, bad for this animal, and they took the animal in. Well, as you remember, when Joe the cat is also the name of a cat that worked at Rooster Teeth. I know it sounds absurd, but yes, for a minute.
Bernie's cat, yeah.
Bernie's cat, the owner of Rooster Teeth, co-founder. He was absurdly allergic to Joe the cat. Well, they adopted this cat into their home, and from what I understand, Monty went in to have a procedure to help with the allergies, and they gave him something, and supposedly that's what caused the complications and so forth and whatever. Now, me personally, and I think Tip knows this, I have severe allergies, especially during this time of year, to where once a year sometimes I have to go in to get a what is it called? It's where you get a sinus infection. Because if you get a really bad sinus infection, you can't breathe, you can't do anything. It's terrible. But once you get a shot, you're okay. But there's two different types of shots. There's a shot that kind of relieves it and you kind of recover from it. And then there's another type of shot they give you, but it includes penicillin.
There's heroin and there's cocaine.
Tip, please. No, this is if you're a doctor.
If you mix them both, it's called speedballing.
Yeah, and if you get them in Canada, it's called free. In America, no, I'm playing. But basically, I didn't know this, but I am allergic to penicillin. And the way that I figured this out was I was on my honeymoon and I had like a buffalo sandwich and a buffalo sauce sandwich, and it always comes with blue cheese crumbs. And I had the blue cheese, and like parts of me were swelling up that like my jaw would swell up and all these weird joints would swell up. And that's how I found out I was allergic to penicillin. So if he was having a severe allergic reaction and they gave him a medication that had penicillin in it, I'm betting that's what caused the problem.
Now, I'm not gonna lie
the speculation,
to you, Pat.
Of course.
This is gonna prove how much I just don't care. I didn't know you were allergic to everything.
I'm not allergic to everything, but I have really bad hay fever allergies, and I am allergic to penicillin.
I didn't know that.
So anybody in our listening audience that's trying to murder me, you now have the recipe.
I've known Pat for 20 years, and you learn something new every day.
Yeah. Well, the more you know.
Well, there you go.
The more you know, brother.
All right. Well, let's move this away from. We've done a half hour of the serious stuff.
From death. Sorry.
Earlier today, I think it was today. I don't know. My days are all screwed up. I'm pretty sure it was earlier today. They released the first official trailer for
Ghostbusters.
And it's the first look that I've had because I mean, I'm not a huge Ghostbusters fan like Pat or even Tip.
Yeah.
No, I got nothing against it. I love the movies. I'm just not like a huge fan. So I'm just sort of on the fence about the new one. I'm not for it. I'm not against it. I don't really care. But I think the trailer that went out today, it pushed me towards the movie a little bit.
It had the opposite effect on me.
Did it really?
Yeah, I looked at it, and the only thing I could think of during the entire trailer was, it's not the original.
And
it's not supposed to be. But I think from what they showed in the trailer, now I understand it's her style of comedy, and I got nothing against Melissa McCarthy. But hopefully they don't try and squeeze in too much of her like dopey slapstick stuff.
Yeah.
The rest of it seemed interesting to me. And the characters looked great, sounded great. It's just there was too much of her slapstick even in the trailer for me. The parts where she wasn't doing slapstick seemed really great. But I don't know, we'll have to see. Like hopefully they just keep that to a minimum. But
I'd like
also
to say that.
Oh, go ahead, Tip.
Oh, I was just gonna say I'd like to say maybe they would, but they won't. I mean,
that's what I'm afraid of, though, right? It's because like that's her thing. That's what she's good at.
yeah, and she's going to be the one that's bringing in the
And
fans.
yeah, exactly. She's bringing in the audience more than Kristen Wiig or who's the other one that was in the trailer.
I
She
don't
didn't
know.
even look familiar.
They're all SNL casts, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
Mhm.
Anyway,
But here's the problem. Paul Feig, same guy who directed Bridesmaids, and they're trying to get this, that recapture that same kind of hilarity in there,
mhm.
and it doesn't do Ghostbusters justice. And
No.
I did a long time ago. I'm pretty sure no one's seen this. A little video about why I felt that. Matter of fact, it was the second Ghostbusters video that we did, and
I was just gonna say you said it perfectly in one of your Let's Plays
yeah, and it's
that it was the second episode because you were all by yourself,
Tip abandoned me.
and you
I was
said
sick.
that you're a fan of the situational comedy where the characters are put in a situation, they just have to deal with it, and if it's funny, it's funny.
Mm-hmm.
And that, when I watched the trailer, I actually thought of that line because I'm like, they're trying to force some of the comedy.
Yes.
And it's like, don't get me wrong, personally, I'm not shitting on the trailer at all.
Mm-hmm.
I just think the Melissa McCarthy slapstick stuff, it's shoehorned in there a little bit too much, and it shouldn't be. Other than that, I think it looks great, and I think the movie's going to do fairly well. But yeah, I immediately thought of that exact line, Pat.
Oh, well, thank you. And it's really something that kind of is weird. When we founded Jackass Express a long time ago, that was kind of one of our principles, was that we didn't like humor that had to be so forced, because
Yeah.
the original Ghostbusters was more about them being in this crazy situation where they would just say really inappropriate and awkward and offbeat things that was just like, wow, the world's ending, but they're kind of just kind of having fun
and
with
like,
it, I guess.
and the perfect example of that is this fucking Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Yeah.
Like, that was just a perfect joke, because they're like, just don't think of anything evil. Don't think of anything evil. And then that thing shows up and he's like, sorry, I was hungry. And that's like, anybody trying not to think of anything evil are going to start thinking, puppies, ice cream, and then, oh shit, I'm hungry. Oh, I could go for some marshmallows. It makes sense. It's like a logical train of thought, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it still ends up being funny because it's like, hey, it's a big fucking marshmallow.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think what I loved most about, and it's funny because I can watch Ghostbusters to this day and still get something new out of it. And I know I'm probably like the oldest 12-year-old in the world, but I think one of the funniest moments to me in Ghostbusters was when the Stay Puft came out for the first time, and he just kind of did that large roar he did in the middle of downtown New York.
Yeah.
And it was just so absurd. When I was watching as an older person, I started cracking up. And I'd seen the
really
movie
was.
like 30 million times. And my wife was watching it with me. This one time it was on TV and I was watching it. And then I started cracking up at that moment because it hit me how stupid it was. And I was like, that's the type of humor I like. That's
So I have a question.
yes.
Everybody has that one movie that they could watch millions of times and never get sick of.
Mm-hmm.
Is Ghostbusters your number one? I could watch that forever and it never gets old.
Pretty much. Yeah. It's Ghostbusters and then a little bit further down, Back to the Future, I think. But Ghostbusters, I could watch that movie to tedium.
So I also have two. What about you, Tip?
Mine, yeah, I would say I have two.
Okay.
I have Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
Like, you could get rid of the rest of the Star Wars, the other 6 movies, I guess it is now. If
Right.
I had Empire for the rest of my life, I'd be a happy guy.
Okay. And what's the other one?
It's Temple of Doom.
Okay.
Indiana Jones Temple of Doom. With,
Interesting.
with Hot Shot, and I mean, it's.
So mine are, I guess they're more like B movies. I guess I don't know. They weren't like AAA titles, but
Yeah.
number one is Half Baked.
Yeah, I can see that.
Dave Chappelle and Harlan Williams and whoever the hell the other two are. And the other one is Empire Records.
Wow. You know what? I have a friend who would say the exact same thing.
Empire Records to me, like, okay, so growing up, I have one sister. Biologically, I have one sister.
Yeah.
But when we were teenagers, my sister had a friend, a close friend, that when we got into our teens, her mom moved to another city, and
Mhm.
she didn't want to go, so she ended up coming to live with us.
Mm-hmm.
So she became like my adopted sister, although it wasn't like officially adopted or whatever.
Yeah.
But Empire Records was her favorite movie, so she had it on VHS and she would play it like every day. And I liked hanging out with my sister because I was like the annoying younger brother. So I ended up hanging out with both of them, and I don't know. I watched Empire Records every day. I've probably seen it literally 200 to 300 times, and it still makes me laugh. I could still watch it forever and ever. And I don't know if it's just because it was who I was watching it with, but I don't know. I know it seems like an odd movie. Like most people go to like Star Wars or Indiana Jones or anything like that, and I'm just like, no. Empire Records. Have you ever heard of it?
And I'm sure everyone has that B movie that's their absolute favorite. As far as that goes, and but for me, it's I need that escape, that unrealistic, super indulgent fantasy action type deal.
So you need like over the top.
Yeah, I need over the top, because if I'm going to sit down and watch a movie all the way through and not fumble around doing other things, I need to be like just engulfed in it, where there's always something going on, and it's kind of makes me wonder why Empire's my favorite of the Star Wars movies, because it's the slowest of them. But I think I just get so engulfed in the story and what's going on, and just being like,
yeah.
oh,
I mean, I think the majority of like Star Wars fans agree that that's the best one, though.
yes. And it makes me sound like I'm just part of the crowd, but so be it. Only time in my life that I'm part of the crowd.
Yeah, it's like the only two that I can think of in that movie, the only and in Empire Records, sorry, the only two actresses that are really even still around or known is Liv Tyler, Steven Tyler's daughter, and Renee Zellweger. Everybody else in that movie, Anthony LaPaglia or whatever, he was in a CBS show a few years back. But other than that, I mean, you haven't heard of any of them.
Oh, come on.
Or seen any of them.
You haven't heard of Debbie Mazer?
Oh, wait.
She was in Waterboy. Tobey Maguire.
Tobey Maguire was in that?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Who did he play?
Andre.
Oh, he was the kid that stole.
Yeah, he played Andre.
Rap, metal, Whitney Houston? Yeah. But yeah, I don't think anybody else that I can think of.
Yeah, that's all I can think of.
One of the guys went on to he was on CSI Miami for at least the first season. I don't know, the first couple. He played Speedle.
I've never seen any of the CSIs.
In CSI Miami. Anyway, but that's it. So that's why I call it like a B movie.
Yeah, and it's kind of like the Kevin Smith movies.
Oh yeah.
There was a time when you could say, "Hey, I watched Mallrats," and nobody knew what you were talking about.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna say it was a movie I could watch every day or anything like that, but I have seen it quite a bit.
You know he's making Mallrats too?
Yeah, and I'm kind of excited about it, but at the same time, I'm kind of standoffish about it.
Well,
grumpy old man tip.
I mean, here's the thing. I'll give it a shot, a fair shot, because there's a special place in my heart for Kevin Smith, and there always will be.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think Clerks 2 did well, in my opinion. Like, I think it was a good follow-up to Clerks 1.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea that he's gonna do a third one to make Clerks a trilogy.
Because how do you top Ass to Mouth?
Exactly. Or did you know Jesus was a Jew?
No.
Yeah.
Sorry, Pat.
No, it's all good.
Pat didn't know that.
But I mean, like, I don't know about the trilogy thing, but I think he did well on Clerks 2. So I imagine he'll do the same with Mallrats 2. So long as he can get Affleck to play the same character that he played before and not a pretentious Hollywood dick.
Yeah.
Like he is now. Like, I'm fucking Batman.
I'm not going to go see him as Batman. I will not see Superman versus Batman.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I think Ben Affleck was the worst possible choice to be Batman.
I think we've talked about this before, but I think that goes with almost every new Batman.
I don't know.
There's people out there that are like, "That's a terrible fucking choice. It's gonna be fucking terrible," and then like everybody loves it.
No, I mean,
Like I think the only truly bad Batman was fucking
George
Kevin
Clooney?
Costner.
Yeah, Clooney was the
No,
stretch.
Costner was okay. Clooney.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Clooney. Costner was good.
I feel the same way about Ben Affleck being Batman as I did about George Clooney being Batman. And this is
Oh,
because
well, there
I
you
have
go.
a deep-seated hatred for Ben Affleck. Probably
Really?
for Mallrats. Yeah, I've never liked anything he's done.
He wasn't the best in Mallrats, but he was good in Chasing Amy.
I watched Chasing Amy just because it had Jay and Silent Bob in it, and it was a Kevin Smith movie. But
Really?
yeah, I'm not an Affleck fan.
Oh,
Him and Matt Damon, they piss me off to no end.
all any lesbian needs is a good deep dick.
Yep.
Okay, here we go.
That's from the movie. The whole point of Chasing Amy is a lesbian who the Ben Affleck character tries to date because he thinks he can turn her.
Yeah.
Ah.
And that's his ideology, is that all any lesbian needs is a good deep dick to make her straight.
Yep. And then his brother,
Yeah.
or not his brother, his
Roommate.
roommate Brody turns out to be gay in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
No, he's gay at the end of Chasing Amy.
You're right, he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they try and make up at the end or whatever, and then he's just like, no, you got to just admit it. And he's like, fine, I'm gay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was at the end of Chasing Amy.
But yeah, I'm
God love Kevin Smith.
I love.
I don't know. There's something about that dude. Like I
Yeah.
could, when I was in high school, for whatever reason, they were playing the very first evening with Kevin Smith, like late on TV.
Mhm.
And I'd only seen his movies, so you only ever hear him talk when Silent Bob talks that one time during each movie.
Yeah.
And I watched it and I was like, I was genuinely like belly laughing, tears laughing. He talks for like 3 hours and it's an audience Q&A, and the audience asked, I think 3 or 4 total questions,
Yeah.
and the thing's like 3 hours long.
Yep.
Because he gives such a long-winded roundabout, goes off on 16 tangents, comes back to the point, goes off on a tangent again, comes back to the point, sort of answers. But I mean, I've watched I think there's like 4 or 5 now, evening withs. I've watched everyone, like anything with that guy talking.
Yeah.
I mean,
and he's funny. I mean, he's funny. He's brilliant. He makes awesome entertainment.
have you seen Tusk?
Yes, I have.
Damn it, I haven't seen it yet.
I was
will
told I
not-
was supposed to watch that movie, but I don't.
So apparently, Tusk and Yoga Hosers and this new movie, Moose Jaws, that he's about to start filming.
Mhm.
It's some sort of like Canadian trilogy or something like that that he's doing. They're all linked somehow.
Now
I know because on his Instagram last week or something, he posted a picture of himself inside of Tim Hortons saying, "Hey, look, I'm finally filming a movie about Canada in Canada to wrap up the Canadian trilogy or something like that," and that included, like I said, Tusk and Yoga Hosers.
And I was part of the reason I went to go see Tusk is because Haley Joel Osment's in it.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, I thought he had died.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, oh, Sixth Sense kid is in there.
He likes putting the Mac guy in his movies too.
Yeah.
Justin Long, is that his name?
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know why he just seems to appear with Justin Long a lot. I think that goes back to Die Hard,
I think so.
the Die Hard movie that he was in. What was it? The 4th one, I think.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
man, what were the names of Die Hard?
I mean, there was Die Hard, Die Harder,
Yep, Die Hard.
Die Hard with a Vengeance.
A Good Day to Die Hard.
It's a good day to die hard.
Die Hardest.
I don't know.
I'm just being dumb. It's not-
But
Die Hard, the Christmas special.
yeah, he really
Die
likes,
Hard was a Christmas movie.
There you go. There you go. Everybody keeps saying that, and I'm like, okay, I believe you. I'll take it.
Because it was released around Christmas,
And it takes place
or it
at
takes
a Christmas
place at
party.
Christmas. Yeah, that's right. It's a yeah.
But yeah, and I completely lost what I was gonna say.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. We went down a good tangent there. It had something to do with Kevin Smith and
That's right. Alan Rickman was in that movie.
yeah, he was the bad guy.
Yeah.
But
Well, we all got sidetracked on that one and lost our points. So,
Okay, this is gonna sound really
else we wanted
embarrassing.
to
But
get to?
what was the actor who played Frodo again?
North
Elijah
Elijah
Wood.
Wood.
Elijah Wood. It blew my mind when I found out he was in Back to the Future too.
He was in Back to the Future too.
Yeah, you remember when he's at the Cafe 80 and he's playing that one game with the handgun and all that? They're like, you have to use your hands. It's a kid's toy. And he was one of those 2 kids.
No way.
Yeah.
Fun fact: he's also a character in Red versus Blue.
Oh, that's right. He was.
He's
So-
who is he? Theta, I think.
I think he was Sigma.
Sigma. I don't know. He was one of the AIs anyway.
Yeah, he was the big bad for that season, I think.
So yeah, he was. Huh.
Right? Yeah.
Now what I don't
Huh.
understand about Wikipedia
Uh-oh.
is you'll look something up. Like if you look up Kevin Smith.
Mhm.
I'm just going out on a limb here. I haven't looked up Kevin Smith yet. It won't tell you his religion. But if you look up Elijah Wood, Roman Catholics right there. And if
That could be because Kevin talks about it openly that he's a Catholic,
so why does Elijah Woods need to be there?
because he doesn't talk about it.
Okay, and then so you go to what's his name? Sherlock guy, Cumberbund.
Cumberbatch.
Sure.
I don't remember his name. British guy, tall. He was in Star Trek.
Go on.
Played Khan that they weren't gonna have Khan in.
Also a Sherlock, yes.
Yeah, but
Smeg in the Desolation of Smeg.
yeah.
Smaug.
Smeg. I call him Smeg. But go
So
on.
they don't mention his religion, but if you go to his co-star, Martin Freeman, who was also in The Hobbit,
Also
Bilbo.
in Sherlock as Watson.
and yep, just right there,
Also-
that's the first thing you read is Catholic.
He
So-
was also in the British Office.
Ooh.
and Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
And he's about to be in the Marvel Universe somehow, as Benedict is going to be Doctor Strange, and Martin Freeman, I'm not sure what he's going to play, but I know he's confirmed to be in the Marvel Universe.
Didn't know that.
Those two
There you
are
go.
inseparable.
But what I was going at is why is it so important to point out who all the Catholics are?
I don't know.
Is there going to be another Inquisition or first Inquisition?
Tip's
Maybe.
starting to sweat. Not sure what's going on here. I'm
I don't know.
fairly-
I feel like the new pope is kind of hip. I don't think this is gonna happen.
Yeah, that's true.
He seems to be coming out. I remember the last pope was like, "Don't if you're Catholic, don't fucking name your kids anything that's not a Catholic name."
Well,
Do you remember that? Do you remember that when it came out? It was there was a list of names you couldn't name your kid because they weren't Catholic names.
Mhm.
With the last guy,
the last guy can look like Emperor Palpatine?
Benedict.
I mean, he was. Was it the last pope or was it this one that was a Hitler Youth?
It was Benedict.
It was the last one, right?
Yeah, but
Oh.
in his defense,
Where is
He
this
was
conversation
legitimately.
going?
He was in the Hitler
legitimately
Youth.
he was. I mean,
Yeah.
no one's denying it. But
That's
in
a
his
fact.
defense, not very many kids were not it wasn't like
Oh yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's not like he chose to be there. It was
it's just
just
what he was.
just a circumstance of who his parents were and what they believed in. But
Yeah, and where he lived.
fact remains.
I mean, it'd be different if he was like an American and in the Hitler Youth, but he wasn't.
Yeah. Did you know apparently Hitler had a nephew that fought for the U.S.?
Yes, and he penned a essay or something on why he hated his uncle in 1939.
Really?
Yeah, I
I
feel
know there's also there's a documentary that I saw a while back about the descendants of Hitler, and they've all made a pact not to have kids to end the name.
Yep. I saw that.
I don't remember the name of the documentary, but it was pretty interesting.
Isn't there like a show on Amazon Prime about what would have happened if Nazis would have
Yes,
won?
and it's
Oh
awesome.
yes, fuck!
The
I
Man
still
in the
haven't
High
watched
Tower
that.
it's pretty
Yeah.
awesome. The first episode, I think I sent a message out to all my friends like, so far U.S. loses World War. There's a shootout. The Japanese, like, I just did this whole thing about the synopsis of the show. I was like, and that's just the first episode.
Dude, I was hooked like from the trailer, but then I was like, fuck, it's on Amazon. I don't have Amazon, so I'm like, I'm gonna have to wait until it comes out on a different platform, and then I forgot about it somehow.
Yeah, well, it hasn't come out on a different platform yet.
Because like I said, I remember when that came out, and we talked about it on the podcast, and I was like, hey, did you hear about this new show? And I was talking about the trailer, and it still sticks with me, is the scene in the trailer where it shows the American flag, but it's got like swastikas on it.
yeah.
And I was like, just that one image, I was like, it was such a powerful image. I was like, I have to watch this show. Then I forgot about it. So what are you gonna do?
No, I it's something that intrigued me, and I really do want to watch it. But it's like you said, once I found out it was on Amazon Prime, I was like, okay, well maybe one day if I can borrow some. Yeah,
It's a really good show, and I wish it wasn't on Amazon Prime because my free trial's almost up.
Aww.
So is it still an ongoing series, or has it already concluded?
It's
According to IMDb, it says 2015 to blank.
yeah,
Oh.
and I mean
So-
I just watched season 1,
Oh, wait a second.
or as
There's
I call it,
something about-
day 1.
Got to wait for the day where Kanye West pirates all the episodes and leaves them online for everybody. Then I will absolutely go and give it a try.
Oh, Kanye.
Yes.
When will you learn?
I'm sorry, everybody's picking on that guy. It's the hip thing to do, to pick on him, so that's what I'm doing. I'm picking on him.
Dude, the dude is so fucking delusional. Like, what does he expect?
Well, from what I understand, it's not even him, because the news has been that he's gone bankrupt and the whole thing where he kind of...
No, I've heard it's his clothing line that's bankrupt and he doesn't want to use his own money to bail it out.
Exactly. So he's just kind of like saying, "Oh, I'm in debt and I'm going to get through it." And it's like, well, it's on you.
Yeah.
It's on you, stinker.
I mean, it's one of those things like he's always saying he's like a lyrical genius and shit. And he may be a genius, like intellectually.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible because the definition of genius is like total lack of like common sense
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and decency. And like the way he goes off sometimes is like, I legitimately think he just doesn't understand what he's doing wrong. Like when he went and fucking Taylor Swift won the Grammy or whatever, and he kicked her off stage or whatever and was like, Beyonce should have won it. I don't think he did it like, fuck you, Taylor Swift. I just think he was just like, no, that's not right, and I should stand up for it. And in his head, he was like, this is the right thing to do. But he doesn't see it from the other side, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think
Like, I legitimately think that that's Kanye's problem, is that he just doesn't see the world like others do.
I think you're right and you're wrong at the same time.
Okay.
I don't think he looked at that and saw, hey, Beyonce should have won because she's the better person, and I'm going to go fix this travesty. I think he looked at it and said, hey, how can I make this about me and get me on a better standing
That's entirely possible too.
with his boss at the time? Because, I mean, Rockefeller's owned by Jay-Z, and he was signed to Rockefeller. Jay-Z's married to Beyonce, so if he wants to get in good with the boss,
True. Yeah.
what better
Yeah,
way to do
that's
it?
entirely possible too. But I mean, like Prince is the same way, right?
Where he just kind of opens up his mouth to get popularity, or
No, where he doesn't understand the world as it is. He sees things completely different. And the perfect example of that, and this to tie this all back together, is in, I think it's the very first Evening with Kevin Smith, if not the second one. Kevin tells a story where Prince contacted him to film a documentary. And it was all supposed to lead up to the release of Prince's album and stuff like that. And long story short, he ended up not like finishing it, and
Decided
Kevin
to go
went
get
back.
plastic surgery to look like Barbie. Got it.
Maybe no. Kevin went back and asked like the Prince's publicist like whatever happened to the footage, and he cut it into his own Jehovah's Witness recruitment video.
Oh boy.
Like he actually did that.
Uh-huh.
He took all the footage that Kevin had shot, and it was basically like he was shooting stuff like he would bring people into Prince's house and sit them down and listen to the album and then interview them about what they thought about the album and stuff. And somehow he managed to turn that into a recruitment video for Jehovah's Witness. Also, he tells a story that about Prince wanting. He was in Minnesota in the middle of winter, and he wanted a camel, like the animal, not the cigarette.
Yeah.
And they were trying to tell him like you can't have a camel, and he didn't understand. Well, why can't I have money? Why can't I have a camel? And they're like, because you're in Minnesota and it's the middle of fucking winter and they're not winter animals. And he went, I don't get it.
Oh my gosh.
So like he doesn't see the world like you know what I mean? Like he can't put that together. Like, oh, they're desert animals and it's snowing here, so that they can't survive here. He doesn't see that. He just says, well, I have money. Get me a camel.
Yeah.
Well, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier a little bit, where about how some people don't see that there's negative consequences for stupid decisions. They just feel like, well, somehow they're being limited or punished for their decision. It's like, no, you actually would kill the animal if you brought it here.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Is like some people just don't see the world that way. And I don't know why that is. I don't know because I know very little about Prince. I don't know how he was brought up. Is it something like parental abuse? Is it that he was brought up with a lot of money and so therefore he always had whatever he wanted? I don't know what causes a person to turn that way, but whatever it is, like,
well, it's kind of that the child star thing where they're in TV at a very young age. They're never told no, really, because their parents are banking whatever it is the kids are bringing in, and so by the time
they start doing methamphetamine because they're bored.
Unless you're Michael Jackson, in which case his father whipped his ass all the time.
There you go.
Yeah.
Apparently, allegedly.
But I mean, he's of course a case of a very stable adult who.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
So when Prince became a Jehovah's Witness in 2001, he did it because he had a debate with Larry Graham, and it convinced him like, hey, you should be a Jehovah's Witness, and he said it was like Morpheus and Neo from the Matrix when he attended his first meeting at the local Kingdom Hall.
Would you like to take the
alone?
Good for Prince.
That has just sold me.
Good for Prince.
Would you like the watchtower in the blue cover or the red tower?
Yeah. I'm not going to shit on him for his religious beliefs. That's totally fine. You do you, Prince.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, like, I've never heard it.
Apparently, also one other tidbit, apparently Prince also has like literally thousands of fully produced music videos for songs that nobody's ever heard.
Wow.
Because he just makes them and then decides, no, I'm not going to release it. Puts it in a vault.
Wow.
Do you think
apparently, according to the Kevin Smith thing. But yeah.
Do you think he sits in his house like some days and he just watches them all and is like, all for me, all for Prince?
He might, but apparently he has his entire house is microphoned too.
Wow. Okay.
Every room of his house is microphoned and set to start recording as soon as I don't know if it's a certain note that he has to hit or whatever, but as soon as he starts singing, then it'll record him in any room of the house.
See, and like when I think of Prince now, the only thing I think of are the Chappelle Show skits.
Oh, Chappelle Show.
He's done
so
all
good.
of that. He's done all of that work, and all I think of is Chappelle Show.
Poor Dave Chappelle. Guy needed to. What happened with him? He had to get away for a while because it was too much for him or something like that. But man, that guy was seriously.
I don't know too much for him, but like when his show ended because Comedy Central wanted to, they wanted to take some creative control away from him or all creative control or something like that. And so he was like, nope, fuck it. Because if you remember in the last season, like he wasn't there.
Yeah.
for most of it. He might have been in the first 2 episodes or something. That's because that's when that happened. They were like, no, we want to do this. And he was like, yeah, fuck you. And he left.
Yeah, and he went,
Went to Africa and did some shit there. And I'm not sure what he's been up to lately, but I know like he still lives in like Ohio.
Yeah.
Or wherever it is he's from. Like he still lives in the same hometown that he's always lived in, which I think is really cool.
Wasn't he also in Robin Hood Men in Tights?
Yes, he was.
Oh, it was brilliant.
Hey, Blinken. Did you say Abe Lincoln?
That's exactly what I was going for. And my cat, he choked on the goldfish.
Oh, so good. Mel Brooks, you fucking genius.
Yes. Speaking of Mel Brooks, I think Spaceballs 2 is going to be a thing.
What?
Really?
Yes. There was some noise about second Spaceballs being made as a response to The Force Awakens being done, and it's called Spaceballs 2: The Search for More Money.
No shit.
I kid you not. I am now reaching to it. It's only rumors that I have heard of, but I would not be surprised if they decided to do that.
Oh, that'd be incredible.
1 day ago is when they did it. When they set it out that they wanted to do it.
Are all those characters still alive? Well, no. John Candy isn't.
Yeah, John Candy's still dead.
Yeah.
Rick Moranis is still alive, I think, but he's really into raising his kids because I think his wife died or something like that. So
yeah, but I mean, his kids are pretty grown up now.
I would think by now, yeah. Who knows?
Yeah,
I don't know. They might be able to get him. They might not. I don't see how they could do Spaceballs without Lord Helmet, but
I don't either.
Maybe it would be his triumphant return to the cinema screen as Lord Helmet. Maybe. This world became a lot darker when Rick Moranis was no longer allowed to be in movies. Very sad.
I think he's always been allowed to be in movies. He just stopped.
Well, no, but I mean, because life chose for him to no longer be allowed because he had to watch his kids and so forth.
Well, he didn't have to. He just decided to. I mean, he could have hired people and been a working parent.
Well, I mean, the fact that he took upon himself to realize that he was the one that needed to do it, I mean, that's pretty noble.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely noble, and he apparently was good with his money. Because, I mean, after Honey, I Blew Up the Baby, no one saw him anymore.
Well, I mean, he is a tax accountant in Ghostbusters, too, so.
Yeah.
True. I am the Keymaster.
Yes.
Anyway.
Very cool. Very awesome.
I don't know if you guys have anything else, but I'm out.
I think it's a good discussion. I think we got a lot of cool things happening in Why Did Ask For. Me and Tip will be recording another Ghostbusters episode soon. And
shout out to the fancy thumbnail. Thanks to Pat.
Yes, well, I got
that thing is gorgeous.
Oh, well, thank you.
What did I
only had to ask Jesse a billion times for it, and then Pat did it, so, you know. Thanks, Jesse.
Well, we're a team at the end of the day.
You scrub.
Which one am I looking at? The with the microphone?
Yeah.
That is kind of nice.
It's beautiful. I have ideas for that to be an intro slate that Pat's going to work on.
Oh, go on. Ooh. Go on.
It's going to be beautiful. But anyway, enough about us. Oh, I did want to address, we tested out the face cam thing a couple podcasts ago. We're probably going to do more of those, but we have to figure out a few logistics. With my work schedule ever changing, it's just a matter of finding time for me to edit it.
Yep. Because
we already throw off so much on Pat that I couldn't bother him with something else because he's already doing way too much.
Can't be bothered.
But we will do more face cam in the future. Just don't know when. But as soon as we figure that out, you'll be the first to know.
That's right.
Pat.
All right.
Pat will be the first to know because he's going to be editing.
I'll be first to know and first to say no. But it'll
I was talking to the audience, not you.
Oh, well, I like attention, please, Dan. Why?
You're such a child.
Look, it's important. All right. Stay consistent.
I think that's enough. So I want to thank everybody for joining us.
Yep.
And hopefully we made you ask. Why did ask for?
Why did end?